We already have the Chief of Staff to His Excellency, the President, Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila, has already made his way into the room. Governors of Borno, Nasarawa, Bayelsa, Anambra, Imo, the national anthem. You may be seated. Your Excellency, the special guest of honor, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Excellency, the Vice President, Distinguished Senator Kashim Shettima, and Chairperson of the National Economic Council, ranking members of the National Assembly here present, Chairman, Governors Forum, Chairman, Progressive Governors Forum, governors of various states that have joined us, we thank you. Honorable ministers here present, with particular reference to the Honorable Minister of Budget, Distinguished Senator Abubakar Atiku Bagudu, presidential advisors, senior special assistants, heads of government and extra ministerial departments, with special reference to the governor of the central bank. We have, of course, several permanent secretaries here from the federal government, with special reference to the permanent secretary budget, speakers, moderators, and panelists, members of the diplomatic corps, development partners here present, to include the co-chair, the UN Res Rep, Ms. Elsie Atafua, captains of industry, stakeholders, distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Eugenia Abu, and I'm truly honored to be your director of ceremony today, but I'm not working alone. I'm working alongside a truly formidable broadcaster and co-director of ceremony, the man I like to call the voice, Mr. Ebere Young. Your Excellencies, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the National Economic Council, established by the provisions of the Constitution of 1999 as amended, focuses on economic planning coordination, harmonizing the economic programs of the federal and state governments to avoid conflicting policies, and provides fiscal policy advisory review, and also works on national budgets, focusing on revenue targets, debt management strategies, among other high-level national financial responsibilities. Its recent focus has been boosting non-oil revenue, food security, and structural reforms to achieve a $1 trillion economy, as well as the renewed hope agenda's promotion of the various development plans. Today, this high-level body brings to the table the National Economic Council Conference to strengthen Nigeria's economic coordination and accelerate inclusive growth across all states of the Federation. With an intentional and powerful theme, delivering inclusive growth and sustainable development, the Renewed Hope National Development Plan, it is expected to produce a far-reaching policy direction for the states as they align with the federal government's long-term economic agenda. This conference, Your Excellency, chaired by His Excellency Vice President Kashim Shettima, is particularly honored to have you, Your Excellency, Mr. President, sir, as our very special guest of honor. Sessions and speakers have been carefully selected to speak to shared development strategies, investment mobilization, and fiscal coordination between federal and state governments, among other top national economic conversations. Permit me, Your Excellency, sir, at this juncture, to welcome to the podium Co-Director of Ceremony, Mr. Ebere Young, to carry out the remaining proceedings.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Today we are gathered not merely for a conference, but for a conversation that is at the very heart of our economic destiny. The National Economic Council is one of the few institutions in our democracy where every federating unit meets as equals, bound not by politics, but by responsibility. Over the years, this council has been the ground upon which critical national economic decisions are shaped. The council redefines pathways towards sustainable growth, diversification, and fiscal resilience. So history reminds us that when the National Economic Council speaks with clarity and unity, the nation listens and moves. And so, Your Excellency, I welcome you. I understand His Excellency, the President, will be doing the opening remarks. And so it's my honor and pleasure to welcome our very special guest, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR.
Thank you very much. Distinguished Vice President and the Chairman of the National Economic Council, Kashim Shettima, a very good partner on the journey for progress. Your Excellencies, state governors, it is very heartwarming to see all of you present here. I cannot go item by item and state by state, but accept it as a collective respect and acknowledgement of your dedication and commitment. But we have one governor who is not a member of a tenorized constituency, a very ad not governor of Central Bank of Nigeria, Olayemi Kadoso. I will say no to everything. I hope he will address you on the liquidity problem that I am facing as the president. But I congratulate him on the sustained stability of the economy, exchange rate, inflation going down, and all aspects of our macroeconomic situation being achieved. Thank you, Mr. Governor of CBN. Thank you very much. Honorable ministers, members of National Assembly, development partners, private sector leaders, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I am pleased to address the second edition of the National Economic Council Conference at a critical moment in Nigeria's development journey. I commend the National Economic Council under the leadership of the able Vice President Kasim Shettima for sustaining this vital platform for strategic dialogue, policy coordination, and collective action across national and subnational governments. NEC. NEC remains a cornerstone of physical federalism and economic governance in our country. The theme of this conference, delivering inclusive growth and sustainable national development, the Renewed Hope National Development Plan, 2026 to 2030, speak directly to our national aspirations. It reflects our resolve to move from recovery to transformation, and from narrow growth to one that is inclusive, resilient, and sustainable. Nigeria stands at a defining crossroad. We face inherent structural challenges, including macroeconomic imbalances, infrastructural deficits, unemployment, poverty, climate vulnerabilities, and limited physical space. Yet, our people possess the resilience, creativity, and determination to overcome these realities. Since the inception of this administration, we have undertaken bold and necessary reforms to stabilize the economy, restore confidence, and lay the foundation for long-term growth. These reforms are instruments for delivering prosperity, dignity, and opportunity to all Nigerians. I must say again at this junction, the monetary policy that we've embarked on since the reforms has yielded positive results, and it's being recognized around the world. Thank you, Mr. Governor of CBN. We have recorded notable achievements that reflect our commitment to cooperative federalism and inclusive development. This, and first, state and local government now receive increased and more predictable federal allocations, improving their capacity to pay salaries, invest in infrastructure, and deliver social services. Second, we have strengthened the macroeconomic stability through improved revenue performance, stronger public financial management, and enhanced physical coordination. Third, we have prioritized infrastructural development across the transportation, power, digital connectivity, housing, and irrigation as a catalyst for inclusive growth. Fourth, we have expanded social investment and human capital programs targeting vulnerable households, youth, women, and small businesses. The Renew Hope World Development Project further demonstrates our commitment to grassroots inclusion through a bottom-up approach to national development. These successes reflect strong collaboration among federal, the state government, and the local government, development partners, and the private sector. The Renew Hope National Development Plan 2026 to 2030 marks the next phase of our national journey. It is evidence-based, realistic, and anchored on an inclusive, balanced, and environmentally sustainable growth. The plan prioritizes economic diversification and productivity, human capital development, national competitiveness based on comparative advantage, private sector-led growth, and climate resilience. Success will depend largely on effective implementation and the state and local government at the state and local government levels, making NEC central to aligning national priorities with national realities. The conference has reinforced collaboration, shared accountability, and a focus on practical solutions and measurable outcomes. We must move decisively from declarations to implementation through data-driven decisions, making peer learning among states, local governments, and innovative financing models a reality. Nigeria's diversity is our strength. When state grows, Nigeria grows. When growth reaches the poorest household, national stability is strengthened. When development is sustainable, our children inherit hope. The task before us is demanding, but the opportunity is historic. The Renew Hope agenda is a national compact, a promise that the sacrifices of Nigeria will lead to a stronger, fairer, and more prosperous nation. I'm confident that the resolution of this conference will include dairy farming, livestock investment, ranches, and diversification of our agricultural produce. I promise you here, I play my part. There are 7 stones and zones state of mechanization that is coming. I promise Nigeria that this will be delivered. And I'm living here again to further find means to strengthen our security forces, to defeat terrorism and combat it. That, I promise you, is what has kept all of us sleepless at night. But I assure you that we will win with determination and resiliency. We will overcome this unacceptable terrorism and banditry. It's not part of our culture. It's foreign to us. So it's an economic hindrance if we do not find immediate solution to it. I commend many of you, particularly the governor of Borno State, governor of Katsina, governor of Kaduna, and many of you who have done so much to defend our freedom, liberty, and our commonwealth. On this note, I hereby declare the second edition of the National Economic Council Conference opened. Thank you, and God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you.
Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Mr. President has spoken, and he has talked about many promises which he has put on the table. He will win, and we will win along with him with determination and resilience. Let's give another round of applause to Mr. President. His Excellency, Mr. President, will depart after the national anthem, and the rest of the program will continue. The national anthem, please. His Excellency, Mr. President, being a man who is so sure-footed in administration, has asked his Vice President to remain at this summit while he departs. We thank you so sincerely, Mr. President, sir. We thank you very much indeed.
Okay, let's take our seats, please. Thank you very much. Let's settle down, please. Let's take our seats. Your Excellencies, Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Nigeria stands at a point where choices matter more than intentions, where coordination matters more than ambition, and where results matter more than promises. This conference has been convened to deepen the relationship between the federal and the state government. I'd like to welcome here the convener of this meeting, hardworking, I'm not sure he has slept in a long while, the Honorable Minister of Budget and Economic Planning. Let me welcome here His Excellency Abubakar Atiku Bagudu to please step forward here.
Your Excellency, the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Senator Kashim Shettima, who is standing in for His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who has just spoken to us, the Excellencies, governors of the respective 36 states that are here, senior government officials, the Governor of the Central Bank, Nigeria, development partners, invited guests from the different states of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and officials of the federal government, my brothers and sisters, ministers, permanent secretaries, and other senior officials, members of the media, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I was to have done the welcome address before His Excellency spoke, but because he has to leave early, I'm doing it after. So it's still very noticeable and very commendable that His Excellency, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, chose to come and grace this second National Economic Conference. And therefore, we convey our gratitude to him, and especially having hear him speak when it's in no doubt, as we have all known, that his commitment to our federalism is both unique and encouraging. The National Economic Council is an important constitutional advisory body to Mr. President, however, chaired by His Excellency the Vice President. But more than that, it is an essential one for the management of our federalism. It gives voice to all the federating units, generate confidence and consensus. His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who always believes in dialogue, has given it a pride of place. Not only does he respect the advice coming from the body, but you occasionally interact and participate in policy formulation. It is noteworthy that in the last 2 years, Mr. President has attended several meetings of the National Economic Council, a reflection of his respect for our federalism. We have to thank His Excellency because the choices that he has led us to make have today strengthened our federalism. As we are gathered here, I believe it's fair to say a more united federation is gathered. Not only have the reforms improved fiscal conditions in both federal, state, and local government, but the bulk of the brunt is borne by the federal government. Our investment in security is increasing. And of course, Mr. President have challenged all states to tell him where he can help them to do better. His Excellency have also encouraged us to recognize that true federalism lies in our ability to recognize the potentials of the lowest levels of government, but that which is closest to the people, and support the sustainable generation of value in them. Thus, the focus on what each ward, each of the 8,809 wards of the country can do, and how it can be supported to do better. We also congratulate Mr. President and indeed the chairman of NEC, because just in the last 1 week, a delegation led by the managing director in charge of operations of the World Bank told the world that Nigeria's reforms have become the world's reference material. Equally, an IMF report at about the same period also included Nigeria among the top 10 countries contributing to global growth. The Economist magazine was equally blunt in appreciating that the difficult choices that Nigeria have taken under able leadership of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu are beginning to pay off. But more than what the world have said is what Nigerians have said. In here, the 36 states and the FCT represents all our federating units. And the reforms have presented opportunities of contributing. They have been presented as members of NEC with the opportunities of contributing to most of the reforms initiatives of the government. And even where they differ, they understood the imperativeness of those reforms. And commendably, most of the members of NEC, almost everyone, irrespective of party, believe that what is being pursued are what our country needed and fully support those measures. In fact, some said they can't even justify being in another party. It is evident that Mr. President wants to be remembered as the one who led us to make the right choices, not necessarily convenient ones. But much as we have done, it is even more important to focus on how we can do better. How do we sustain the momentum? How do we ensure it works for everyone? How do we equip our populace with requisite skills to compete? How do we imagine the future and plan for it? How do we eliminate poverty and generate a $1 trillion economy by the year 2030? How do we mobilize our 3 tiers of government and our people? Ladies and gentlemen, we have just heard it from the President himself. In addition to commending the able and brilliant chairman of NEC, who is also the Vice President of the country, he also restated the role of the National Economic Council in that quest of achieving an all-inclusive $1 trillion economy. His Excellency, the Vice President and Chairman of NEC, have not only ensured that the monthly meetings of NEC are held, but maintain a tradition of ensuring that the body represents dialogue, intellectual debate, from where every member has a voice. From time to time, presentations are made that support policy, understanding, and generation. We can't but thank and appreciate the chairman of NEC and the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Has been ably described by Mr. President as one without tenure, the governor of Central Bank, who are all members of NEC. They have participated in the proceedings commendably, and from time to time agreed with policies and programs proposed by the federal government. Some of those relate to coordination of fiscal and monetary policies, security, infrastructure, grassroots development, as well as measures to boost domestic production. In fact, many governors are leading committees or are members of committees that are helping shape policies in different ways and contributing to our national growth. This is truly federalism in display. It came because the government recognized that by mobilizing all parts of Nigeria, all local government, states, and the federal government, we can generate faster, rapid, inclusive growth because each unit in Nigeria is uniquely blessed. So by understanding those blessings and holding each other, we can mobilize the private sector, we can mobilize development partners, we can mobilize a total of society approach so that each part of Nigeria can do and function better. This is more so because we are dealing with an international environment that is becoming more difficult to predict, and the world trade rules are quite stressed. The consensus that have seemingly been achieved is giving way to bilateral nationalistic conduct, which is not helpful to countries such as ours, and is negatively impacting on our domestic industry. So I welcome all of you, and I congratulate the chairman of NEC that this is an opportunity for us to generate more consensus on how to achieve the $1 trillion economy. Thank you, Excellency.
Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Minister of Budget and Economic Planning has delivered his welcome remarks, and therein lies some of the more profound things that His Excellency, Mr. President, has said today. And he quoted His Excellency, Mr. President, as saying, true federation lies in the potential to recognize the lowest form of government. He also went on to salute His Excellency, the Vice President of the Federal Republic and Chairman of NEC, for maintaining a tradition of expertise, dialogue, and intellectual debate during NEC meetings. Again, he mentioned the fact that both the World Bank and the IMF have described Nigeria as a nation to emulate for yielding positive results from the reforms. Let's hear another round of applause for the Honorable Minister who has delivered his welcome remarks. Following straight away, we are taking Goodwill messages now. I'd like to please crave your indulgence to keep it at 3 minutes. I'd like to call on the representative of the President of NASIMA, Ambassador Janet Olisa, who is speaking on his behalf, to please make her way to the podium real quick to deliver the Goodwill message from NASIMA. As she makes her way, please give her a round of applause because it's a long walk. Let's encourage her as she makes her way. Ambassador Janet Olisa.
Your Excellency, the Vice President, Your Excellencies, the governors of the 36 states, Your Excellency, the Honorable Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, and the cabinet members present, I am here on behalf of the National President of NASIMA, and I read his message. On behalf of the Association of the Chambers of Commerce, Industry, Mines, and Agriculture, NASIMA, the organized private sector of Nigeria, I am pleased to extend warm goodwill to the National Economic Council on the occasion of the second NEC conference convened under the theme, Delivering Inclusive Growth and Sustainable National Development, the Renewed Hope National Development Plan 2026 to 2030. At this pivotal moment in Nigeria's development journey, the role of the private sector extends beyond participation to partnership in governance. Sustainable economic progress is achieved not only through sound policy formulation, but through capacity to operationalize those policies, mobilize capital, scale enterprise, and deliver measurable outcomes across sectors and regions. The organized private sector remains central to this process, bridging strategic and executing, strengthening implementation, credible, and ensuring that national and subnational priorities translate into growth, job, and productivity. NACIMA commends the National Economic Planning for sustaining a platform that recognizes the importance of coordinated economic leadership and across-government collaboration. Such engagement is essential for aligning policy direction with enterprise capacity, market reality, and investment confidence. In furtherance to this mandate, NACIMA has established NACIMA Global as a continuous step in strengthening private sector engagement with government and international partners. NACIMA Global serves as the association structure platform for translating economic diplomacy, international engagement, and policy frameworks into practical commercial partnership, investment pipelines, and scalable opportunity for Nigerian businesses. As the chairman of the organized private sector of Nigeria, NACIMA reaffirms its commitment to working with NEC, the federal government and state government, to support implementation-focused reforms that deepens competitive and attract investment, as well as deliver inclusive economic outcome nationwide. We are confident that the deliberation of this conference will contribute meaningfully to advancing a resilient, productive, and partnership-driven national economy. I wish the conference successful deliberation and lasting impact. Thank you.
NACIMA has reaffirmed its commitment to working with the federal government, particularly with NEC. Would like to thank you, Ambassador Janet. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the President in his opening remarks saluted Excellencies, governors of states who are fighting insurgency. Indeed, it is a battle for the soul of Nigeria. And he has said they have done well, they are in the front lines, and we will win. Would also like to take the opportunity to greet all of the governors who are here with us today, and of course the honorable ministers, members of the Federal Executive Council. We're absolutely delighted that you could make it to join us, as this is, of course, a constitutional, high-powered body, NEC. It is at this point that I would like to invite the UN resident representative and co-chair of development partners, the very respected Ms. Elsie Atafua, who is making her way up to the podium to deliver what is coming from the development partners as her goodwill message. She makes her way up here now to deliver that goodwill. Welcome, Ms. Atafua.
Thank you very much. Your Excellency, Senator Kashim Shettima, GCON, Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Your Excellencies, the Executive Governors who are here, Honorable Ministers, particularly Honorable Bagudu. Let me also recognize all senior government officials who are here, distinguished members of the National Economic Council, ladies and gentlemen, permit me to stand on existing protocols. It is an honor to address the August Council on behalf of the Nigeria Development Partners Group, at a moment when Nigeria is shaping the next phase of its national development journey. And Your Excellency, permit me to introduce my co-chair, Dr. Karen Jansen, and members of the Nigeria Development Partners Group who are here also. Today's discussion goes to the heart of the country's ambition: how to deliver inclusive growth, translate reforms into results, and ensure that national progress is felt by citizens in every state and in every community. We welcome today's discussion on delivering inclusive growth and sustainable development in the context of the renewed Hope National Development Plan 2026 to 2030. We recognize that this plan is still being shaped, and we commend the government of Nigeria for grounding this process in ambition, in consultation, and a clear focus on delivery. From the collective perspective of development partners, we particularly welcome the government's bold ambition to build a $1 trillion economy. This speaks to scale, productivity, and competitiveness, and critically, to ensure that growth translates into opportunity and improved livelihoods for citizens. In this context, development partners commend His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and His Excellency the Vice President for setting the pace through landmark reforms that provide a strong foundation and a clear policy signal to realize this ambition. We are also encouraged by the President and the Vice President's commitment to taking development to where people live, notably through the ward-based development system. This people-centered approach has the potential to strengthen accountability, improve service delivery, and ensure that national ambitions are felt in everyday lives of citizens. Your Excellency, as an Igbo saying reminds us, when the drumbeat changes, the dancers must listen carefully. In this spirit, the Nigeria Development Partners Group has been deliberately reorganizing itself to accompany the government of Nigeria in a more collective, in a more strategic, and in a more impact-oriented manner. Through this repositioning, the development partners have identified 4 priority areas where we seek to collectively accompany national and subnational efforts. 1, inclusive growth. 2, governance and democracy. 3, security and stability. And 4, finance and development. Across these areas, our focus is on alignment with national priorities, coherence across programs, and leveraging our combined resources, knowledge, and convening power to support delivery at scale and with speed. In this context, development partners also look to the government of Nigeria to sustain strong ownership and financial support across these pillars, particularly in strengthening security, harnessing Nigeria's diversity as a source of unity and resilience, and accelerating economic diversification to reduce poverty. Progress in these areas will be critical to translating reform momentum into tangible improvements in the lives of citizens across all states. Your Excellency, we are grateful to the government, particularly the Honorable Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, as custodian of development cooperation, for the continued partnership in strengthening coordination and ensuring that development cooperation remains firmly aligned with Nigeria's aspirations. Your Excellency, looking ahead, we see value in elevating this partnership further. In this regard, the Nigeria Development Partners Group would welcome the establishment of a high-level strategic engagement with the National Economic Council convened once a year to jointly reflect on progress, align around priorities, and deepen collaboration on Nigeria's most pressing development challenges and opportunities. Such a platform would help anchor our partnership at a strategic level while complementing the strong technical engagements that already exist. In closing, Your Excellency, let me reaffirm, on behalf of the Nigeria Development Partners Group, our strong commitment to working with the federal government, state governments, and the National Economic Council to advance a more prosperous, inclusive, and resilient Nigeria. Thank you for the opportunity to address this distinguished council. I wish you fruitful deliberations.
they don't make them like her anymore. Amazing sister from Ghana, Elsa Tafwa, the representative of UNDP in Nigeria. We say thank you to you. A wonderful woman, goal-driven development expert. Thank you very much. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, His Excellency, the Governor of Kwara State and the Chairman of the Governors Forum was supposed to be here. He sends his regrets and apologies. But he's actually represented here at this event by the hardworking, absolutely dynamic Governor of Ogun State. So let me welcome here Prince Adedapo Oluseun Abiodun, MFR CON.
Your Excellency, Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Your Excellency, Senator Kashim Shettima, GCON, the Vice President and the indefatigable Chairman of the Nigerian National Economic Council, Your Excellency, the Secretary to the Federal Government, Your Excellencies, Governors of various states, using His Excellency Senator Hopuzodimma, the Progressive Governors Chairman, as a point of courtesy in appreciating all the governors that have come from 36 states to be part of this summit today. Your Excellency, the untenured Governor of Central Bank, Mr. Olayemi Cardozo, Your Excellency, Senator Atiku Bagudu, the Honorable Minister of Economic Planning, and using you as a point of courtesy to all other members of the Federal Cabinet that are here this morning. Members of the Nigeria Development Partners Group, all other distinguished resource persons and eminent guests, gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen. I'm representing His Excellency Abdurrahman Abdurazak, CON, the Chairman of the Nigeria Governors Forum, and also the Executive Governor of Kwara State. His Excellency Governor Rahman is not able to attend this morning because he's busy conducting a security meeting in Kwara in view of the current development in Kwara. On that note, may I please crave our indulgence to rise and observe a minute's silence for all those who lost their lives in the mindless attack in the villages of Woro and Nuku in Kwara State. May the lives of these innocent people continue to rest in peace. Please be seated. On behalf of the 36 governors of the Federation, it is indeed my honor to welcome you to the second edition of the National Economic Council Conference. We meet at a consequential moment in Nigeria's national history. Since the year 2023, our country has engaged in a deliberate economic reset, adjusting old assumptions, confronting inherited constraints, and making necessary choices even when they are difficult. Across all tiers of government, we're navigating deep fiscal, monetary, institutional, and social reforms. These decisions are not merely about stabilizing the economy. They are laying the foundations for broad-based, durable, and politically sustainable growth. The National Economic Council stands at the center of this effort. By constitutional design, NEC is the forum where macroeconomic policy meets the lived realities of the states, where national ambition is tested against implementation capacity, and where cooperation, not combined, defines economic governance in a federal system. And in that sense, NEC is not simply an advisory body. It is the engine room of coordinated economic leadership. Today's conference is about alignment between fiscal and monetary policy, between federal priorities and state execution, between growth objectives and political economic realities, and between national plans and local delivery. The macroeconomic direction is clear. Nigeria is pursuing stabilization alongside reform, restoring fiscal sustainability, expanding revenue mobilization, managing inflationary pressures, strengthening the external sector, and rebuilding investor confidence. But we must be clear that macroeconomic outcomes are ultimately produced at the subnational level through state investment decisions, tax administration, service delivery, security outcomes, and human capital development. This is why fiscal federalism is not an academic conversation. It is a practical imperative. States are not peripheral to economic management. They are central to competitiveness, growth, and social stability. The conversations before us on tax reform, fiscal sustainability, subnational competitiveness, and implementation readiness go directly to the heart of this reality. Growth, however, cannot be pursued in abstraction from political economy. Policies must be credible, implementable, and socially legitimate. The Renewed Hope Word-Based Development Plan reinforces a simple truth. National transformation ultimately happens at the community level. And this is where citizens experience the economy not as projection or statistics, but as jobs, prices, security, schools, healthcare, and opportunities. The structure of this conference reflects that integrated understanding from macroeconomic outlooks and fiscal coordination to interstate collaboration, domestic production, human capital development, and security. The sessions recognize that development is a system, and that weakness in one part constrains progress in all others. Intergovernmental coordination, therefore, becomes the decisive variable. No single tier of government can deliver inclusive growth alone. Federal policies require state-level execution. State initiatives require national coherence, and both depend on credible partnerships with the private sector and our development partners. Your Excellencies, distinguished participants, the Nigeria Governors Forum approaches this conference with a clear and settled conviction that sustained national prosperity will not be achieved through centralization or fragmentation, but through cooperative, shared responsibility and disciplined implementation. We look forward to frank conversations, practical solutions, and outcomes that strengthen all governments' capacity to deliver inclusive, resilient, and trusted growth for the Nigerian people, and so we can achieve the targeted $1 trillion economy. On that note, I thank you all, and I wish us a productive and impactful conference. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, the Governor of Ogun State. We appreciate you and thank you very much. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is with profound respect that I acknowledge the leadership that has been steering the Council at this crucial moment of our nation. The Chairman of the National Economic Council, His Excellency the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Senator Kashim Shettima, whose stewardship continues to emphasize coordination, discipline, and results. It's therefore my honor and pleasure right now to welcome His Excellency, the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and the Chairman of the National Economic Council.
inclusive growth and sustainable national development could not be more apt. Across developed economies, the prevailing wisdom is no longer growth for its own sake, but growth that accommodates all and endures. This philosophy underpins the global pursuit of the Sustainable Development Goals. Our pathway to this reality lies in reinventing our strategies, harmonizing our visions across all tiers of government, and taking decisive steps towards building a resilient and equitable economy. That is the purpose that has brought us here today. The post-COVID-19 world is one defined by the urgency of overcoming excessive dependency. Every nation emerged from that period not only bruised by social dislocation, but also resolved to confront long-standing structural weaknesses at home. No one here will deny the sincerity with which His Excellency President Tinubu has honored his promise to insulate the Nigerian economy in a world increasingly shaped by geopolitical tensions and rising economic protectionism. The inclusive growth on our radar is not an exercise in sloganeering. We have confronted the macroeconomic obstacles before us. What remains is to ensure that progress filters down to the everyday lives of our people. This is precisely why the National Economic Council remains the most suitable vehicle for delivering the promise of inclusive growth. Our mission, Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, is incomplete if a child born in Lafia does not have the same chance to thrive as one born in Lagos. If the farmer in Makurdi, the entrepreneur in Aba, and the student in Sokoto cannot all find dignity, opportunity, and hope within the Nigerian dream. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the journey towards inclusive growth demands sustainable national development that balances expansion with equity, opportunity with responsibility, and prosperity with environmental stewardship. It is no longer enough to measure progress by GDP figures alone. We must ask harder questions. How does growth transform lives? How does it uplift communities? How does it strengthen national cohesion? As members of this council and leaders of our respective states, the weight of responsibility rests squarely on our shoulders. Aside from being a policy advisory body to the President, NECTURE remains the engine room for consensus building and coordinated action across the federal and subnational governments. This retreat presents a unique opportunity to onboard new governors and deepen our shared understanding of NEC's role in shaping Nigeria's economic destiny, to align federal and state strategies with the National Development Plan 2021 to 2025 and the Nigeria Agenda 2050, especially in poverty reduction, job creation, and social protection, to strengthen collaboration across regions through practical frameworks for interregional trade, investment, and infrastructure, harnessing the comparative advantages of each geopolitical zone, to explore pathways for fiscal sustainability at both federal and subnational levels, reforming tax systems, and enhancing internally generated revenue without overburdening our people, and to ensure that next resolutions translate into legislative and executive action that delivers tangible outcomes at federal, state, and community levels. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Nigeria's future will not be decided in Abuja alone. It will be shaped in our states, in our local communities, and through the choices we make in forums such as this. This is why today calls for a renewed commitment to collaboration, pragmatism, and shared responsibility. As deliberations unfold over the next 2 days, I urge each of us to be bold in thought, courageous in questioning the status quo, and resolute in crafting an implementable roadmap that speaks not just to growth, but to growth that is inclusive, sustainable, and transformative. History will not judge us by what we discuss, but by the clarity of the actions and the impact inspired by such decisions. May this conference mark another step towards a nation that works for all its people. Once again, I wish to tender the apologies of His Excellency, the Governor of Kwara State, for his inability to attend this function. fundamentally because of the security challenges we are facing in Kwara. A minute silence has been observed in honor of the victims, but victims of terrorism cuts across all regions and all parts of the state, from Anambra to Sokoto. So I will crave your indulgence, Your Excellencies, to once again observe a minute silence in honor of the victims from all states of the Federation, and a salute to our gallant armed forces who are on the front line, protecting the lives and properties of the citizenry. Your Excellencies, let us once again rise for a minute silence. May the souls of all the victims of insurgency, banditry, rest in perfect peace, and may God give our armed forces the courage and protection to confront the challenges at the front lines. Thank you, and may God bless us all.
Thank you very much. His Excellency is done. And you may be seated as we prepare to run the batch of photography before he leaves. Your Excellency, I'd like to crave your indulgence, sir. I'd like to, first of all, invite members of NEC to join you for this photograph for this session. Members of NEC. I'd like to greet and welcome the Head of Service, Esther Walson-Jack, who is already here with us. We thank you for your presence, as always. Good to see you. Members of NEC. Members of NEC. So the batches are members of NEC. I'd like to invite the Head of Service to please join in this photography. We have governors, and we also have honorable ministers who have joined this photography, as I can see. But the honorable minister's batch should be the second batch of this photography. The Head of Service would join this picture with the honorable ministers. If you don't mind, just tarry a while. This picture is for members of NEC. And then the honorable ministers are the second batch. The honorable ministers will join after members of NEC, and the Head of Service would be in this photograph with the honorable ministers. So we have the members of NEC done. We have the honorable ministers. The Head of Service should please join this photograph. Thank you. Honorable ministers, please. Honorable ministers should